Hey, hello, Bernardino. How are you?
Hello, Anthony. Everything great here. It's great to see you, and everybody here is in great shape, and so everything fine. Thank you.
Well, it's great to be back at Argiano. I thought we'd start today. We wanted to learn a little bit about Super Tuscan wines and maybe a bit about the history of Super Tuscan wines. So why don't we start there before we get into the wines?
Yes, absolutely. So, Super Tuscan wines is not a precise category as it is, for example, Brunello di Montalcino or Chianti Classico. And most important, they are not the typical historical wines made in Tuscany, as usually they are made with French grapes. It all started with Tignanello and the blend of Cabernet and Sangiovese, and then especially in Bolgheri Coast with Niccolò Incisa della Rocchetta, we had Sassicaia, of course, and then Solaya, and many others. And in Argiano, Super Tuscan means Solengo. There's of course a big history on the Brunello production in Argiano, but there's also a pretty deep history in the production of Solengo, that is indeed Cabernet Sauvignon with Merlot, Petit Verdot, and a little bit of Sangiovese.
Yeah, well, originally it was actually started, I believe, because the Italian wines weren't so good at the time, and people wanted to do something to get the attention of the world.
That's right, and especially because some of the most important winemakers of Tuscany at that times, and probably the king of them or the master of them was Giacomo Takis, went to study in France, and they really took the Bordeaux wines as example, and then they came back to Tuscany. At that time, the wines were pretty rustic in certain ways, and they tried a way to make wines that were more refined wines and even a little bit more international in taste, and they started selecting some specific areas where in that belief it was good to plant some Cabernet Sauvignon or some Merlot and starting to do blendings, and they had an enormous success, and so this word Super Tuscan came started in United States just to classify those wines that at that time were table wines, not included in the classification for DOCG wine, for Brunello, for Chianti Classico, because of the grapes used in the blend.
Well, Bernardino, I think people often think that Super Tuscans are all the same, but you're in Montalcino, some are made in Bulgari. What's different about your Solengo, say, versus other Super Tuscans?
I think that there's a lot of difference, and it's pretty clear the reason. Montalcino is a great winemaking region and terroir, as well as Bolgheri, but they are totally different altitudes, different soils, and of course, even in a blended wine like Solengo is and like the Super Tuscan ours, and in a blend, the hand of the winemaker is a little bit more important than the terroir. But even there, the terroir makes the difference. So what I think makes Solengo a great wine is the same reason of what I think make the Brunello of Argiano a great wine. This specific region where we are allows you to make full body, powerful wines that at the same time are very elegant, very balanced, very refined. We have here the soils that are a mix of clays, marl, and a lot of limestones. And these the clays allow you to make full body structured wine, and the limestones gives to the wine a certain soury feeling, the freshness, the what we call sometimes, I don't know, mineral taste, but it's something that helps the wine to be balanced even from the beginning, even when it's young. The Solengo, that is a wine made for aging decades, is still very drinkable, very balanced, has this gastronomic taste. And this, I think, is something specifically of Montalcino and probably specific of Argiano, because Montalcino is a big winemaking hill with different regions inside, and Argiano specific terroir, I think it's about this possibility of having power and finesse at the same time.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I think you brought a piece of terroir to show us. You've had a great discovery on your property since the last time we spoke. Maybe you could explain.
Right.
You could explain this incredible fossil.
So you know, as I was saying before, there's a lot of limestones here because millions and millions of years ago, so 20, 30 millions of years ago, we used to have the ocean covering this area, and so it's pretty common for us. Every month we discover a lot of little shells like this. But 3 weeks ago, with Francesco, our agronomist, in the morning, we just found this. That is pretty massive. It's pretty incredible. If you see, it's bigger than my head.
That is fantastic.
And the good thing is complete. Is intact. This is probably 40 million year shell. And it makes you wonder if you can make spaghetti with clay, because there's still something inside, maybe. So it's something pretty unique that we found.
That's fantastic. Okay, I want to talk about a couple of the wines like directly. So you tell me, do you want to start with Solengo or NC? And let's start with NC.
So the NC is coming after the Solengo. The production of Solengo in Argiano was started by Giacomo Takis, the famous winemaker, in the 1995, and then a few years later they started to make the NC. The idea was to have, as we do have Brunello and Rosso di Montalcino, the idea was to have a big, powerful, super Tuscan wine like Solengo, followed by a more fresh, fruity version of Solengo that was NC. NC means non confunditur, that was in the family crust, was written in the family crust of a family who owned for century Argiano, the Gaetani Lobatelli family, and means unique, not to be confused. It's a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon 50% with 25 Merlot, 25 Sangiovese, aged for 9 months in second and third passage barrique. The idea is to have a full body wine because the Cabernet is half of the blend, all made in Argiano lands, so all organic production, and at the same time maintain the freshness, the acidity given by the Sangiovese to have also a gastronomic wine, a wine that goes very well with food, and the Merlot soften up a little bit the blend. We recently changed a little bit, I will tell you later, the blend of Solengo, and we also did work a little bit differently, the NC, in order to really have, even here, an important wine, a wine with its personality, a wine that tells you also about Argiano.
It strikes me it's a little bit like a Rosso, like the Rosso di Montalcino is to the Brunello. This is a similar style to the Solengo.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, in terms of the Solengo, I want to get back to, we mentioned earlier that at the start, this big wine was made to sort of bring presence to, to lift the spirits of Italian winemaking. But this wine has evolved over the years now, I think, and the style of Super Tuscans, they're coming closer to say what a great Italian red wine might be. So tell us about the evolution of Solengo.
So the Solengo, that is really the case. The Solengo was started in the 1995 by a fantastic winemaker, Giacomo Takis. Giacomo Takis is the one who started to make Tignanello, so he's the father of the Super Tuscan wine. Then he went to work in Bolgheri with Solaya, he consulted with Sassicaia, then he came to Argiano and started to make the Solengo. From 95 until 2001, Solengo was a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon 50% with Merlot, Petit Verdot, and a touch of Sangiovese in the blend. Then in Argiano, they decided to switch from the Sangiovese to the Syrah, and so the blend was changed until the 15. So 2015, we decided to go back to the original Takis recipe because we wanted to link the Solengo to our region, to our country. We are in Montalcino, we want to put some Sangiovese inside. And I think that this helped the wine to reach a more vertical taste and to be a little bit more gastronomic in the style. It's still a big Bordeaux blend that reminds you of some great Bordeaux wines, but has this soury taste in the end given by the Sangiovese that I think makes it extremely interesting and gastronomic. Another curiosity is that in Argiano, the Petit Verdot, that is a grape that is not so common and is often used in a very low percentage, is used in a higher percentage because it grew extremely well. This is a discovery that we made year by year, that the Petit Verdot here, beside the Sangiovese, we hope, the Petit Verdot is growing extremely well and giving fantastic results. So the percentage of Petit Verdot reached 25% in the end.
So a little bit of help from climate change, I think, with that variety. Hey,
exactly that.
So before we go, I want to talk about the big wine, the 2016 Argiano, which is out in Canada now and is such a sensational Brunello. What can you tell us about this vintage? Why is it so good?
Well, thank you very much. So we have to say, of course, thank you to Mother Nature because it was what we call a by the book vintage. We had a cold winter time followed by a rainy springtime, but with the good rain, daily rain, and then an extremely nice summertime, sunny summertime, but never too dry, too hot, with some rains here and there. And especially the good thing was that we had cool nights and warm days. So this difference in temperature between night and day allowed a perfect ripening, a very good phenolic ripening, and allowed us also to harvest pretty late. We harvested in the end of October, very traditional harvest. And this made the wine very complex, powerful, long aging, fresh. Beside Mother Nature, I hope that in 2016 vintage of Argiano, we also see the result of what we started to do years ago. In 2012, we decided to change our approach in the viticulture. We not only to be organic, but to work the soils in a way that allows the roots to go very deep inside the soil. We decided to micromap all the most important vineyards of Brunello di Montalcino to individuate the best parcels and to wine make them separately. And then we started the restoration of the cellar, and from 2016 vintage we were able to ferment the wine in cement tanks, natural cement concrete tanks, and to age the wine in big oak barrels as we wanted to, just to make very terroir-driven wines. So I think this combination of the work in progress done in Argiano together with a fantastic vintage gave us the opportunity to make a nice, high-quality Brunello di Montalcino.
So you live in a beautiful region. I mean, it's already a World Heritage Site now in the area. people should come and visit you. It's easy to visit the winery. Can you give us a little rundown on what can be done in Montalcino for the visitor?
So it's an amazing region, and I say this because everywhere, still, if I work and live in Montalcino every day, I look at the windows and I look at the countryside and I'm impressed. Is what I love mostly about Montalcino is the preservation of the countryside. It's still intact. You could be living here in the 1500 and it could be the same at the countryside. And Argiano is a fantastic place to be because it's in the middle of the hill of Montalcino, surrounded by beautiful vineyards and lands. It's very close to the sea, to the beach. Castiglione della Pescaia is 40 minutes. It's close to the village of Montalcino and to many other UNESCO heritage sites. And gastronomy is something beautiful here. And now Argiano is totally restored. I'm in the middle of the courtyard of the Villa of Argiano. We have been through a deep restoration that totally restored the Villa of Argiano, and not only the villa, the cellar that is from Renaissance time is worth a visit because it was a fantastic and very fascinating cellar before, but now it's back to its original splendor, and it's something unique to visit here. It is really worth a visit.
Bernardino, it's always a pleasure to chat with you, to talk about your wines, and we look forward to seeing them spread out across Canada over the rest of the fall. So thanks so much for joining us today on Gismondi on Wine.
Cheers to everybody. It's a big pleasure always to be with you, Anthony, and I really hope to come back to Canada soon because I miss it, and I wish everybody good luck for the future and hope to see everybody here in Argiano as soon as possible. Ciao a tutti and cheers everybody.